let's talk about the difference between sheep and lion. So what are some of the first things that comes to your mind when we think about the difference between sheep and lion? So sheep is cute, fluffy looking, a bit like a cloud, cuddly, and goes bah. And whereas a lion, you want to cuddle them because they're kind of cute looking, but they look a bit intimidating, right? So I suppose we all know what it refers to when we talk about it in terms of human. And I wanted to discuss a little bit about a very famous experiment. I don't know what the experiment is called, but it kind of defines conformity. Conformity between human. And it actually shows most of us are sheep. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being sheep if you're happy being a sheep, because not all sheep looks in the mirror and says to themselves, well, I don't really want to be a sheep anymore. They're just happy, they just graze in the grass and look at each other and go bah. But lion, again, they don't really know if they want to be a lion because they're just born as a lion. Anyway, this is getting a bit weird. Let me tell you about the experiment. So the experiment goes, it actually tests what others are going to do if a majority agrees on something specific. And let me turn that thing off. Okay. If the majority of people, so what do I mean by that? The experiment is actually, they bring out something like maybe 25 people, they pick them from the street, they put them together, and they give them different size of, actually no, all of them are the same size straws. One of them is slightly shorter, not slightly shorter, actually like really massively shorter. So they're all like this size, and one of them is like this size. So it's about 20 participants, and they tell at the beginning that, thank you for all coming, we all picked you from the street, but actually none of them are real participants. We've only got one real participant. All the other ones are actually other researchers who are also in this thing. So then our actual person is stood in the line. I think it's like one before the last person, because the last person might be a bit too obvious, but one before the last person. And the experimenter starts going around. It's like 3 or 4 straws. All of them are exactly the same size apart from that one. And experimenter goes and asks the first person, are these straws the same size? The first person says, yes, they're all exactly the same size. The experimenter, the researcher goes and asks the second person, third person, fourth, fifth, and so on. They all say, yes, they're all exactly the same size. But our real guy, who is the actual participant, and this is actually quite old, but it has been recorded, and you can really see his facial expressions as well because he's getting a bit confused. So he's looking at it, he's just wondering what is going on because, obviously they are not the same size straws. So then it's his turn to tell the researcher what he thinks. 19 people before him told the researcher already that they're all exactly the same size. And guess what he says? He goes, yes, they're all the same size. And so this is an experiment of conformity. What would you have done? Would you have been a sheep, which I think I might be, up until maybe a couple of years ago. Maybe now I might have a little bit more line in me, but it is interesting, isn't it, that the conformity, the pressure, the peer pressure that we are talking about can be so strong that we actually are going to agree with something that we can clearly see